Adbert Alzolay on the IL. The Cubs have to figure out who's going to close games. Is it going to affect their run to the postseason? We're going to talk about that and more right here on the Cubs baseball channel. But first, let me ask you guys to be part of the channel. Join our roster. It's really easy to do. Give us the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we're live. And we were live yesterday when the announcement came out that Crow Armstrong was being promoted finally to the big leagues. Hollywood, Pete. All right, well, let's get into all the news surrounding the Cubs. And I actually tried to wait a little bit longer today to put the show out because I wanted to find out what was going on in a couple of different areas. And we'll start with Adbert Alzolay. As it was reported yesterday, and I saw a conversation with him and Taylor McGregor of the Cubs Network talking about his arm. And it's never good when you're a pitcher and you're right-handed and then you have a right forearm strain. A lot of times that turns into Tommy John surgery. Not to say that's going to happen this time. And the Cubs, David Ross said he's like 75% right now, but he didn't feel like he could help the team. They didn't feel like that. So they're going to retro him back to the 10th. And he's going to be on the IL. So he missed 7 days, and then he came back, and he had back-to-back appearances, and it didn't really do good things for his arm. So when could he possibly come back? September 25th, and that's if everything goes well. This guy's been such an integral part of the Cubs and their success. It's going to be hard to go without a closer, right? I mean, you got to have a closer to win games. It's one of the reasons that the Cubs right now are in position to make the postseason. So what are the options? Well, from what I understand, there's going to be no designated closer for right now. You got a cast of guys that could jump in and help. Guys that have had saves so far for the Cubs: Leiter Jr., Boxberger, who's just back off the IL, Fulmer, who's just back off the IL, and then Keegan Thompson. I know Daniel Palencia did not look good his last time in the extra inning game, the loss to Arizona. He's got closer stuff, though. And I thought he got pinched on one of the strikes in there. And I know that doesn't take away the wild pitches and everything, but he's got the stuff to make it happen, too. Don't count him out of this. But it could be a closer by committee. Don't forget about Merriweather, the hard thrower. He's another guy that could slide into this role. And I guess if you were saying, hey, who would you pick, Mick, if you were David Ross or you were the Cubs management team, it'd be Merriweather. But I also love closer by committee because I feel like it's just, you're just getting outs. You know, we put so much emphasis on the final 3 outs of a game. And I know the 27th out's the toughest out, right? It is. But with that said, it's still just another out. And if you focus on it like that and you take the pressure and the intensity off of the out and just focus on the job that you have, you can get the job done. And sometimes matchups are better. You know, maybe you have a closer, but the matchup favors someone else or the hot hand or who's ever fresh. So that's what we're looking at right now. Another option. Could it be Marcus Stroman? Again, tried to wait to find out how things went with the live bullpen and if that meant that the Cubs were thinking about, instead of trying to get him stretched out to jump in the rotation, if maybe he could be the closer. He certainly has closer stuff. You love the fact that he keeps the ball down and he's not going to give up a bunch of home runs. When he's good, he can be really good to great. And so the Cubs could definitely use that right now. The good news is you do lose Alzolay, but you're getting other pitchers back. And there's some guys right now in Iowa that could join this team as well. And we talked about that. We put a video out on that recently. Birdie, one of those guys that you might be able to get back sometime soon. Maybe you could use Ben Brown, if you needed someone. He's one of your top prospects, probably needs to throw a few more strikes, but he's got great stuff. And as we move forward, every option's on the table right now as we go down the stretch run. And we're going to look at the standings here in a second, and you'll understand why. I mean, you're talking about like 17 games left. Every single game matters at this point. With that said, congratulations, Crow Armstrong. Hey, you saw it here. We gave you the breakdown yesterday. If you haven't watched the video, go watch it. If you want to see him talk, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. We had him on an exclusive interview earlier this year. It's on the channel as well. But I'm really excited. I know that he's the Cubs' number one prospect. And sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. I don't always buy into the prospect guys that throw out numbers. Some of these guys haven't even seen these players, and they throw out these publications. Some of them are really good. Pete Crow Armstrong's legit. I mean, he is legit. The guy does a lot of really exciting stuff on the baseball field. He got into the game last night. That's something that Alexander Canario really struggled to do when he got called up. But Hollywood Pete got to run the bases and play the outfield. So good for him. Hopefully we get to see him in the lineup because I think he can be a real contributor. And with that said, let's talk about today's game. Cubs, Rockies, 7:40, Coors Field in Denver. They won yesterday, come from behind win. Christopher Morel with a home run. And can you imagine some of the bombs that Morel would hit if he played all of his games at Coors Field? But it was a come from behind win for the Cubs. They had to get those outs at the end. Congratulations to them. Drew Smiley, excellent in relief. The Cubs needed him. And I've talked about the A bullpen and the B bullpen, but now with Alzolay out, we're going to have other people step up into that A bullpen. Drew Smiley did that yesterday. And then, of course, Fulmer with the save. So really good job picking up the first game anyway without Alzolay as the closer. So tonight, we got this matchup right here. Pitching-wise, you would figure that this benefits the Cubs. Chris Flexen, who has really struggled this year, 1-7 record, and a 7.36 ERA, former Met, former Mariner, getting the start against Javier Assad. Assad 3-3, a 2.83 ERA. He's been really, really good for the Cubs, and he'll get the start tonight. All right, let's take a look at the standings. We'll start today with the wild card race, just because it's the one that I feel like the Cubs have the most legitimate chance of winning, and that's because they're leading right now. One of the three teams that, if the season ended today, would make the playoffs. And after those three straight tough losses to Arizona, these guys are resilient. They come right back and they win back-to-back games. They get the finale against the Diamondbacks. They win the first game against the Rockies. And tonight they'll do it again and try to just continue to make it tougher on these teams chasing them. And don't forget, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're playing the Diamondbacks in Arizona. So that could be a really tough series. But Philadelphia's lead just 3.5 over the Cubs and the rest of the pack in the wild card standing. And I should say for the Cubs, they're only a game and a half back of the Phillies. They're 2 games up on Arizona in that final spot. And then the Marlins, a game and a half back, tied with the Giants, and the Reds are 2 back. So it's the same group trying to hang in there, but the Cubs not making it easy on them. And, that's a good thing if you're a Cubs fan, because you just got to win as many games as you can. And now without, Alzolay, how's that going to affect this race? We're about to find out. But like I said, your bullpen is starting to get healthy in other areas. At the beginning of the season, would any of us have thought that it would be Adbert Alzolay as your all-star type closer? And I know he wasn't an all-star, but he could have been. I mean, one of the best in the league at keeping men off base and locking down saves, and honestly used a lot. And I think that's why the Cubs are in the spot they are right now. But, I'm not going to blame David Ross, because the options were limited, and hopefully he bounces back. We've seen other guys kind of dip out of the rotation and come back in. Justin Steele came back. He's stronger than ever. And you hope that that's the same deal with his good buddy, Adbert Alzolay, where, you just take a little time off, things get healed, you get healthy, and you jump back in there. All right, Central Division. Let's take a look at the Central Division and what's going on in the race to try to track down the Brewers. Nothing. It looks almost identical as it's looked for the last month, it feels like, right? Brewers are 3 games up on the Cubs, and they're 6.5 games up on Cincinnati. And look at the Cardinals, the lowly, stinky Cardinals at the bottom of the division. I know there's a lot of you Cubs fans out there that love that. Count me in on that mix because I don't know how long this will last, but let's just enjoy this season with the Cardinals in last place. All right, final topic today is the upcoming schedule. And as I mentioned before, and you guys already know, but we'll just kind of look at it one more time, is that the Cubs have some tough games coming up, but the stretch is here. I mean, this is it, and there's nowhere to go and hide. I mean, you got to get ready to get out there and throw some punches. The Cubs have the Rockies 2 more games. Today is, again, at 7:40. Tomorrow, a day game, 2:10, and then off. And then those 3 huge games against Arizona. And then back at home to take on a couple of teams that have had terrible seasons. And then on the road against the Braves and the Brewers to finish things up. So we're here. This is the stretch run. Down the stretch they come. And again, the Cubs, as of today, continue to lead in the middle wild card of the 3. If something pops on Marcus Stroman, we'll keep an eye on that. If the Cubs make any more moves as far as adding guys from Iowa or some other reliever, we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe somebody else in the starting rotation. Hopefully no more injuries. But all of that right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Thank you guys for making yesterday a banner day. As a ton of you guys enjoyed our video, or at least from the comments, it sounded like you guys enjoyed our video on Hollywood Pete Crow Armstrong. Now I'm just hoping that you get to see the same Hollywood Pete that we saw in the minor leagues in AA sometime soon. I'm Mick Gillespie. Thanks for being part of our channel. And if you're not right now, subscribe. Join our roster for the stretch run. Thanks, guys.